Hey guys, good morning. I just thought I'd share something with you. I'm a thinker, I can't help it. Anyway, so I was just sitting here talking to my son's girlfriend about things, and she recently, right now, has a friend that needs a hand. And she went to an organization that could help her out with paying for a hotel room for herself and her two children and her significant other for a couple of weeks, which I think is wonderful. Sometimes financial assistance is needed to some degree. But it really got me into a whole nother conversation. And it's something that is really important. In our communities, we have lots of public service assistance entities, nonprofit organizations. We have, the EBT and food stamps, and we've got general assistance, and we've got food banks, and the churches that assist with that. We've got church outreach. We've got, family services. We've got all of these nonprofit organizations that are working for the benefit of the individual. However, there's something that I noticed that runs how do I say? It's like we haven't adopted our method of assistance that's based around a limited mindset of our own, really. Plus, these assistance programs, so many of them are government funded. And there's only so much the government can do, But when you think about, for instance, and I'm going to use this girl's story. I don't even know her name or who she is really, but the story is a story that I've heard before. Okay? The girl doesn't have any drive to go to work. And she has two children. And she's 30 years old. And as I'm sitting here having this conversation, the first thing that's brought up is, I'd like to help her butt. And I want to tell you, this is what pinged in my mind this morning, just that little bit. Because that brings me back to, and this is in no way pointing anyone out individually, because this is a general understanding that we all have. This is kind of like that borderline narcissistic thinking process and behavior that we have adopted for ourselves, in the realization that the first thing we thought of was that there was something wrong with her because she didn't have the desire to work. I was like, well, what's going on with her? Is she, what's up? Is she okay? Well, I think she's depressed. She's been depressed. And see, here's the thing. When we just give people money, when we just have the capability, and again, this is not a negative thing, from the nonprofit perspective, from the government perspective, if the availability of resources is limited, so it only enables us to barely get by, which means cope with what, is going on rather than improving what's going on, because it's never enough to do what you need it to do, right? You just get by. And a lot of people who have experienced things in their lives have a difficult time getting over that emotionally. And when they don't get over things emotionally, it causes the energetic vibration to be low. And a low energetic vibration keeps us from wanting to reach up to be the best that we can be, therefore hurting ourselves, right? So if we have people that don't understand or have the incapability or lack of knowledge about that need to improve oneself in order to improve the overall situation in order to alleviate the pressure on these organizations and really begin becoming an active participant in society. This is where we kind of need to focus right now. Because although we're helping people in the best that we can, giving payouts and whatever, there's a tragedy that lies there as well, in that we're never improving the circumstances of those individuals. So therefore, what that does, it just builds and builds and builds, and the level of assistance that's needed from places that can't give it becomes overwhelming. That's when, it all becomes dead weight from a financial and a business plan perspective, and a forward movement into positive things. It all becomes dead weight. So therefore, the help that we're giving is causing a prolonged effect that escalates in size. So here again, by trying to help, we're creating a bigger problem. Because the type of help that we're giving isn't fully inclusive of everything that's needed. People really need help, real help, and learning how to grow, learning about themselves so that they can improve themselves in a way that makes sense to them. People who are relying upon the system are either sick or can't work. That's what it should be. The rest of us are fully capable of doing everything. But if we're only going to ever take an aspirin to get rid of the fever, we're never removing the sickness. And the sickness is in our emotions that's causing and disabling us from growth and contribution, creating a beneficial society full of the gold of the earth rather than coal of the earth. You know what I mean? And at this time, because we've created this assistance and everyone's become so reliant upon it through the things that we've gone through in the last 10 years, it's up to us individually to kind of get what I'm saying here. Because the government shouldn't have to be responsible for everything in our lives. We shouldn't have to rely so heavily. We can reclaim that responsibility and break free from the stagnation that's causing our reliance. We have so many issues that need help. We have homelessness. We have people who can't eat. We have cost of living, right? We've got, major political things going on in our world. Our government wasn't put here, created to have to support and care for the people at the level it has become. Our government was created to make sure that there was equality across the board so that each one of us would have equal opportunity to excel. Now, the government, yes, needs to support those who really need it. But in the way that the government's been giving money to we the people, and I know that there's going to be an argument on this, but I just want to focus in on this one little topic. The way that the government has been supporting we the people is too much. It could never be enough. Because in helping, we're hurting and causing the same thing to continue and escalate. This is where the people have to understand their active role within the community and become an active participant in the community by way of healing. so that you can grow, so that you can overcome the barriers that keep us stagnant, that keep us in need of assistance. And like I said, there's a lot of people, and I understand, don't have the capability of doing that. And all of our programs and organizations are a beautiful, beautiful thing for them. But I know, just from my own experience, that there's not one of you that's out there on EBT who doesn't know 10 more people on EBT. And out of those 10 people, how many people really, really need it? Like, really need it? I asked that question. So for me, that also needs to be balanced in order for the others to be more effective in what they really need to do. And that's care for the people that really cannot care for themselves. We, the people that can care for themselves and create what's missing, i.e. jobs, by our rising, we create what's necessary for our sustainability, not the government. The government assists us in doing that by way of loan programs and such. But that's our responsibility. People, when they're stuck, sometimes don't understand all of what I've just said. We need that agency. We need Cynosure. Because when the people begin to understand how to help themselves in an actionable, corrective, sustainable way, then that reliance upon the government eases. Our unemployment lowers. Our quality of lives, individually and collectively, increases. It's what brings the balance to the people within the communities. That's why I want Cynosure. Cynosure helps people stand on their own 2 feet through the active involvement with Club Gig, learning how to grow, learning how to heal and healing, and participation. It's where they start rubbing off the black of the coal so it emerges as gold. Every one of those organizations will become stronger because they're not so choked out. And we as a community have the opportunity to thrive again. Thanks for letting me share that. Bye for now.